500 years before gunpowder, 50 years of terror. One battlefield in Bavaria where Europe's fate hangs by a thread, August 10th, 955. A German king stands on flat gravel watching horse archers who've burned their way from the Urals to the Rhine. They've sacked cities, slaughtered armies, taken tribute from kings who fear them more than God. But today, they face a man who won't pay, won't kneel, won't run. His name is Otto. The Magyars call him the Red King for his hair and his fury. His soldiers call him the one who might actually survive this. Behind him, 8,000 men cobbled from Bavaria, Swabia, Franconia, Bohemia, armored riders and foot soldiers who've marched 200 kilometers in 6 days to reach this spot. In front of him, somewhere between 10,000 and 25,000 Hungarian horse archers, light cavalry. Masters of the feigned retreat, killers who've bled Europe white since 899. This is Lechfeld, the gravel plain south of Augsburg, the place where nomad warfare meets heavy cavalry, where 50 years of raiding either continues or ends. The Magyars don't know it yet, but they're about to fight the battle that destroys them. They're not like the Huns. They're not Mongols. They're Finno-Ugric steppe people who've drifted west from somewhere past the Urals, picking up Turkic tactics on the way. Light cavalry, composite bows, arrows that punch through mail at 200 meters. They settle in Pannonia, modern Hungary, and immediately start raiding. Not for conquest, for loot, for prestige, for fun. 907, they hit Bavaria. 910, they win a battle on this same Lechfeld plain against the Bavarians, killing thousands. 919, they ride into Lotharingia. 924, they're in southern France. 926, they reach Switzerland and northern Italy simultaneously. Every few years, a new wave, different routes, unpredictable targets. Europe's kings can't coordinate a response because they're too busy fighting each other. The Magyars exploit every civil war, every succession crisis, every weak harvest. And they win. Again, again, again. Their tactics are straight out of Central Asia. Feigned retreats, encirclements, arrow storms. Europe has no answer. Knights in chainmail charge. Magyars scatter. Knights turn back. Magyars pursue and kill them from behind. It works for half a century. The German chronicler Widukind of Corvey writes that the Magyars are a plague sent to punish Christian sins. Bishops pray, kings pay tribute, the raids continue. Otto is born in 912. His father is Henry the Fowler, Duke of Saxony, who becomes king of East Francia in 919. Henry teaches Otto two things. First, unify the German duchies, or the Magyars will pick them off one by one. Second, heavy cavalry can break the Magyars if you hit them hard enough and fast enough to get through their arrow range. Henry proves this at Riyadh in 933 when he smashes a Magyar force that's raiding Saxony. Otto watches, learns, waits. When Henry dies in 936, Otto inherits a fractured kingdom, dukes who hate him, bishops who doubt him, Magyars who raid annually. For 19 years, Otto fights to consolidate power. He puts down rebellions in Swabia, Franconia, Bavaria. He seizes church lands to fund a professional army. He pisses off half the nobility. But he builds something no Frankish king has had in decades, a unified response force. Sack monasteries. Take slaves. The devastation is biblical. German nobles who've been fighting Otto suddenly realize they need him, because no one else can stop this. Otto crushes the rebellion by autumn 954. Ludolf submits. Conradi. The loot in German churches is too good. The Frankish army is too divided. Except now they're not divided. Otto has spent the winter preparing, stockpiling weapons, training riders, fortifying Augsburg. He knows the next Magyar invasion isn't about raiding, it's about conquest. Leadership is split between Bolsu, the Harka, civil leader, and Lel, the Gyula, war chief. Bolsu is battle-tested. Lel is ambitious. They command at least 10,000 horse archers, possibly twice that. They've brought siege engines, ladders, supplies for a long campaign. This isn't a raid. They've been promised land in Bavaria by exiled German nobles who hate Otto. The plan is simple. Take Augsburg, control the Lech River. Force Otto to battle on open ground where Hungarian cavalry dominates. If they win, Bavaria falls. If Bavaria falls, Germany fractures. If Germany fractures, the Magyars rule Central Europe. The city is a Swabian border fortress. Stone walls, maybe 5,000 people, defended by Bishop Ulrich, a 70-year-old cleric who refuses to flee. Ulrich has maybe 500 armed men, mix of knights, city militia, and whoever can hold a spear. August 8th, the Magyars arrive. They try to storm the east gate. Ulrich's men repel them, kill the attack leader. The Hungarians fall back and set up siege equipment. August 9th, they launch a general assault. Ladders, rams, fire arrows. The walls hold, barely. Ulrich walks the ramparts, quoting Psalm 23. Though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death. His men hold one more day. Then scouts spot something on the northern horizon. Dust, banners, Otto's army. He's 250 kilometers from Augsburg. He can't take his entire Saxon force because Slav raiders are probing his eastern border. He grabs his personal guard, maybe 1,000 Saxon and Thuringian veterans, and rides south. Fast. He sends messengers ahead, ordering every German duke to muster at the Danube. Meet me at Ulm. Bring everything you have. By the time Otto reaches Ulm in late July, he's assembled 8 legions. 3 from Bavaria under his brother, Duke Henry, 2 from Swabia under Duke Burchard, 1 from Franconia under Duke Conrad the Red, 1 from Bohemia under Duke Boleslav, and his own Saxon corps. Total strength. Maybe 8,000 men, maybe 10,000. Sources vary. What's not disputed, they're outnumbered. Possibly 2 to 1, maybe more. Foot soldiers with spears and shields, Bavarian veterans who fought Magyars before, Franconian riders loyal to Conrad, Bohemian contingents who've marched 150 kilometers to join. They're exhausted, undersupplied, facing the most dangerous light cavalry in Europe, but they're unified. For the first time in decades, German dukes are fighting together under one command. That's Otto's achievement, not the size of his army. The fact that it exists at all. The Magyars have spotted the German army. They abandon the siege that afternoon and withdraw south to the Lechfeld, the gravel plain, open ground, perfect for cavalry. Otto has walked into their trap, but he has no choice. If he retreats, the Hungarians will hunt him. If he stays put, they'll maneuver around him. If he advances, they choose the battlefield. He advances. Otto forms his army before dawn, 8 legions in column. The 3 Bavarian groups lead because they know the terrain. Then Conrad's Franconians. Then Otto's Saxon corps in the center. Then the 2 Swabian contingents. Bohemians at the rear. The formation is defensive. Tight. No gaps. Otto knows the Magyars will try to hit the flanks and rear. He's prepared. Every legion has orders. Hold formation, don't chase, wait for the charge signal. The Lechfeld is flat gravel scattered with scrub. Summer heat. Dusty. The Magyars have deployed across the plain, maybe 3 kilometers away. Too far to count accurately. Their horses are restless. Riders shoot practice arrows. Drums, chanting, psychological warfare. The Germans advance slowly, 6 kilometers per hour. Shields up, lances ready. Around mid-morning, a Magyar force, maybe 3,000 riders, swings wide and hits the Bohemian rearguard. Classic step tactic. Shoot, retreat, lure them out. The Bohemians hold formation, barely. Arrows punch through shields, horses scream. Duke Boleslav's men are fresh off a forced march, and they're taking casualties. Otto can't turn the entire army around, or the front collapses. He sends orders. Bohemians stand fast, Swabians support them. The rear holds, but it's ugly. Chroniclers say the Hungarians captured some of the baggage train, freed prisoners, took loot. Then they wheel north to hit the main column from behind. Otto's worst nightmare is happening. He's being encircled. Also, this script is researched and factual, using sources from Witteken of Corvey's Res Gestae Saxonici, written around 968, just 13 years after the battle, and from Gerhard of Augsburg's Vita Sancti Wodorici, commissioned by Bishop Ulrich himself and completed around 982, which provides eyewitness accounts of the siege and battle from defenders who survived. These aren't later legends. These are contemporary sources written by people who talked to survivors. Now back to the information. Not at full charge, they're too close, but with enough momentum to disrupt the Magyar formation. Lances punch through leather armor, swords cleave skulls. The Hungarians scatter. Conrad pursues. This is the mistake, the feigned retreat. Magyar riders flee east, Conrad's men chase, they're winning, they're killing, they're also stringing themselves out, 2 kilometers from the main German army. When the Magyars turn, Conrad's legion is isolated and exhausted. Magyar horse archers encircle them, arrows from every direction. Conrad's horse goes down, he fights on foot, chainmail saves him twice. The 3rd arrow hits his throat when he lifts his helmet to breathe. Duke Conrad the Red bleeds out on the Lechfeld. His men break, some flee back to Otto's lines, most die trying. The Bohemians behind him are holding but barely. The Hungarians in front haven't moved yet. They're waiting, watching, looking for the German center to panic. Otto doesn't panic. He orders the line to halt. Close ranks. Saxon veterans fill the gaps where Conrad's men stood. The Bavarian vanguard holds position. For 3 hours, sources say mid-morning to early afternoon, the armies face each other across 500 meters of gravel. Magyar riders circle the German formation, shooting, probing, testing, looking for weakness. Otto's men stand in a square, shields locked, spears out, arrows hit, men die, they don't break. Not the whole army, just the heavy cavalry, maybe 1,500 knights. Bavarians under Duke Henry, Saxons under Otto himself, Swabians under Duke Burchard. They're not charging blind. Otto's picked his moment. The Magyar formations are dispersed from circling the German square. The storm has grounded their bows. Wet bowstrings lose power, and the German cavalry is fresh. They've been standing for hours, but their horses are rested. The Magyars' horses have been moving constantly. The Magyars try to scatter, but the storm has them disorganized. They can't execute a clean, feigned retreat in low visibility, so they fight. And that's their mistake. In close combat, heavy cavalry destroys light cavalry every time. Lances punch through leather, long swords shatter composite bows. The German charge doesn't stop at first contact. It keeps driving, plowing through Magyar lines, breaking their formations, killing their horses. Within an hour, the Hungarian center collapses. Confirms Conrad is dead, counts his survivors. Then he sends the order: hunt them, kill them all. German cavalry spreads across the Lechfeld. Bohemian troops who've spent the morning defending the rear join the pursuit. Bavarian riders who know every ford on the Lech ride ahead to block escape routes. The slaughter begins. But Otto's scouts have been busy. Bridges are burned, fords are held by German infantry. The Hungarians split into smaller groups. Some try to swim, horses drown, riders drown. Armor-clad Germans cut down survivors on the far bank. Some Magyars turn west toward the Iller. German patrols intercept them. More die. Some flee east, back toward Bavaria. Bohemian cavalry runs them down over 3 days. The Hungarian historian Gyula Christo calls it a catastrophic defeat. The German bishop of Cremona writes that the Magyars are so cowed they won't dare to mutter. Contemporary Arab sources, because the Magyars traded with the Islamic world, report a great Christian victory in the north. The exact casualty figures are lost, but all sources agree most of the Magyar army is destroyed. Bulk-Su is captured on August 11th trying to cross the Lech near Neuburg. He's taken to Regensburg, hanged on August 13th. Lel, called Lehel in German sources, is captured separately. There's a legend that Otto offers him last words. Lel asks to sound his horn. Otto agrees. Lel uses the horn to bash Otto's nephew's skull. Then he's hanged. Sur, the third Magyar commander, disappears, probably killed in the rout. The Hungarian Grand Prince Fajs loses half his military leadership. Within months, he's deposed by Taxny. Hungary turns inward. The raids stop completely. For the first time since 899, German villages don't burn every summer. Monasteries don't pay tribute. Kings don't negotiate. The Magyar threat is over. No veterans, no prestige. The survivors limp back to the Carpathian Basin and face internal upheaval. Taxny takes power and begins the long process of settling the Magyars. Within a generation, they're building permanent towns, trading instead of raiding. By 972, Duke Geza is baptized. By 1000, King Stephen, later Saint Stephen, establishes a Christian Hungarian kingdom. The nomad warriors who terrorized Europe for 50 years become a settled medieval state. The Lechfeld made that transformation possible by breaking their power so completely they couldn't return to raiding even if they wanted to. A battlefield honor. They shout Imperator and Pater Patriae, Emperor and Father of the Fatherland. Otto doesn't officially become Holy Roman Emperor until 962 when Pope John XII crowns him in Rome. But the empire is born here on this gravel plain in Bavaria. The Lechfeld proves 3 things. First, unified German duchies can beat any external threat. Second, heavy cavalry properly deployed can break steppe horse archers. Third, Otto is the only king in Europe capable of organizing that victory. The Carolingian Empire is dead. The German Empire is born. The Slavic tribes convert or submit. By 960, Otto controls everything from Saxony to Bavaria to Bohemia. Italy follows. He marries Adelaide of Burgundy, conquers Lombardy, deposes Pope John XII when John conspires against him. The papacy becomes a German protectorate. The idea of a Christian European empire under German military dominance starts here. The Lechfeld is the hinge point. The floodplain has been farmed for 1,000 years. Floods erase artifacts. But there are finds: silver-gilt horse harness ornaments, Magyar style, zoomorphic designs, combat damage. Found 15 kilometers northeast of Augsburg by a metal detectorist in the 1990s. Stored in a Bavarian museum, never formally published. There are also mass graves. 8 skeletons found near Kissing in 1932 during construction work. All male, all showing violent trauma, arrow wounds, sword cuts, dated to mid-10th century by associated pottery. One skull has a puncture wound consistent with a lance. These are the Lechfeld dead, not enough to reconstruct the battle, but enough to confirm the location and violence. There's a monument, the Ulrichstein, erected in 1955 on the 1000th anniversary. It's a stone mosaic near the Lech Bridge, showing Otto's cavalry and the Hungarian retreat. A history trail marks key locations. The alleged site of the Hungarian camp at Gunzenli near Kissing. the bishop's refuge at Haldenberg Castle, St. Ulrich's Church in Königsbrunn, built in 1855 for the 900th anniversary. Local pride runs deep. This is the battle that ended the Magyar Terror, the day Bavaria saved Europe, the day Otto became Otto the Great. Well, as modern archaeological analysis published by Charles Bolus in The Battle of Lechfeld and Its Aftermath, from 2006 by Ashgate Publishing, which synthesizes all contemporary sources and contradictory medieval chronicles to reconstruct the battle's actual sequence. These aren't Hollywood legends. These are documented events, cross-checked across multiple independent sources from different kingdoms. Now back to the information. Numbers matter in medieval warfare because chroniclers inflate them constantly. Widukind says Otto had 8,000 men in 8 legions. Gerhard confirms this. The Annales Augustani, Augsburg city records, mention 8 divisions. That's consistent. The Hungarian numbers are harder. Gerhard claims 50,000. The Annales Sangalenses Maiores from St. Gall say 25,000. Modern historians split the difference and guess 10,000 to 20,000 based on logistical analysis. You can't move 50,000 horses through Bavaria in summer without leaving massive archaeological evidence. Bones, campsites, burned villages. The evidence suggests maybe 20,000 maximum. So Otto's fighting 2-to-1 odds, possibly 3-to-1, but not 5-to-1. 3 Bavarian legions, veterans who fought Magyars before. They know the tactics. 2 Swabian legions, fresher troops but battle-tested against rebels. 1 Franconian legion under Conrad, elite heavy cavalry. 1 Bohemian legion, Slavic allies who've marched the furthest. 1 Saxon corps under Otto, his personal guard, plus Thuringian levies. This is a professional force by 10th century standards, not conscripts, not peasant militia. Trained soldiers who've campaigned together. That's why they don't break when the Magyars hit the rear. That's why they hold formation for 3 hours under arrow fire. That's why Otto's charge works. Discipline. 3 days from Ulm to Augsburg, 35 kilometers. The march is forced, but not impossible. Roman roads still exist. The Danube provides water. Otto's logistics work because he's prepared. Supply depots at Ulm, scouts on the Lech, advanced coordination with Bishop Ulrich. When the Magyars abandon the siege, Otto is less than 10 kilometers away. Perfect positioning. Start around 8 in the morning. Hungarian rear attack on the Bohemians around 10. Conrad's countercharge around 11. Conrad dies around noon. The standoff from noon to 3. Otto's charge at 3 or 4 in the afternoon. The route continues until dark. Pursuit lasts 3 days. August 10th to 12th. German cavalry and Bohemian auxiliaries chase Magyars east and south, block river crossings, ambush retreat routes. The Lech becomes a killing ground. Bodies float downstream. Civilians loot the dead. The Bishop of Augsburg orders a mass burial, location unknown, possibly under modern Augsburg. Even Conrad's death works in Otto's favor. Conrad had rebelled in 954. His death at Lechfeld martyrs him and erases the rebellion from memory. He's remembered as the Duke who died fighting Magyars, not the traitor who invited them in. Otto's image management is brilliant. He turns a messy coalition victory into a personal triumph. The army acclaims him emperor. Bishops credit divine intervention. Chroniclers write hagiography. Otto becomes the savior of Christendom. The Magyars lost because they underestimated Otto's ability to unify German forces and because they fought a set-piece battle instead of using hit-and-run tactics. They got greedy. They wanted Augsburg. They accepted battle on unfavorable terms. They paid for it with their empire. The Ottonian Renaissance begins. Renewed scholarship, church building, manuscript production. The Holy Roman Empire becomes viable because the eastern frontier is secure. Otto's son, Otto II, continues expansion into Italy. His grandson, Otto III, dreams of restoring Rome. None of that happens without Lechfeld. The battle buys Germany 50 years of peace on its eastern border. That peace allows internal development. Cathedrals at Magdeburg and Quedlinburg, new bishoprics in Slav territories, missionary work in Poland, Bohemia, Hungary. By 1000, Central Europe is Christian. Lechfeld starts that process. Hungary joins European civilization instead of threatening it. The Magyar language survives. The national identity survives. But the nomadic warrior culture dies at Lechfeld. The composite bow gives way to the lance. The felt tent gives way to the stone church. The annual raid gives way to settled agriculture. Stephen is canonized in 1083. The raiders become saints. Ironic. Military historians study Lechfeld because it demonstrates how heavy cavalry defeats light cavalry. The key is momentum. You can't slowly close with horse archers. They'll shoot you to pieces. You can't chase them. They'll lure you out and encircle you. You have to hit them in one decisive charge when they're disorganized or trapped. Otto waits for the perfect moment. The storm disrupts Magyar formations. Their bows are wet. Their horses are tired. He charges and doesn't stop. That's the lesson. Speed, surprise, overwhelming force at the decisive point. European knights learn this and apply it for the next 300 years. Crécy, Poitiers, Agincourt, English longbows beat French cavalry using similar principles. Concentrated firepower against charging knights. Lechfeld inverts the equation. Charging knights beat dispersed archers. German armor in 955 is chainmail, interlocking iron rings. Expensive, heavy, effective against arrows at medium range. Magyar bows are composite, wood, horn, sinew, powerful, accurate, but useless in rain. The weather advantage goes to Otto. German lances are 12-foot ash poles with iron tips. Simple, brutal. Magyar sabers are curved steel, beautiful, ineffective against chainmail. The equipment mismatch favors close combat. The Germans know this, the Magyars know this. That's why the Hungarians avoid close combat for 50 years. That's why Otto forces close combat at Lechfeld. He negates their advantage and imposes his own. They've sacked richer cities. Augsburg is supposed to be easy. When Otto's army appears, they're surprised but not worried. When Conrad attacks, they think it's a minor setback. When Otto charges, they realize too late they've miscalculated. The psychological shock of losing after 50 years of winning is devastating. The survivors carry that trauma back to Hungary. The raids stop not just because leadership is dead, but because the warriors don't believe they can win anymore. Otto's Holy Lance, supposedly the spear that pierced Christ's side, is credited with the victory. Never mind that Otto doesn't officially acquire the Holy Lance until later. Never mind that the battle is won by logistics and tactics. The church needs a miracle. Lechfeld becomes that miracle. Within a generation, pilgrims visit Augsburg to see where St. Ulrich defied the pagans. The battlefield becomes sacred ground. The exact location of Otto's final charge is disputed. Historians place it somewhere between Bobingen and Kissing, both south of Augsburg. The terrain has changed. The Lech has shifted course. Floods have eroded the gravel plain. But topographic analysis suggests the main clash happened on the eastern Lech bank near modern Bobingen. That's where metal detector finds cluster. That's where the old Roman road from Ulm intersects the Lech fords. That's where Otto would have positioned his army to block the Hungarian retreat. A highway runs through it now. Housing developments, light industry, no marker, no plaque, just farmland where 10,000 men fought for Europe's future. Conrad the Red is buried at Worms Cathedral. His tomb is plain, just his name and death date. August 10th, 955, killed at Lechfeld. The Hungarian commanders have no tombs. Their bodies are dumped in unmarked pits after hanging. Typical medieval justice. Leaders pay for failure with their lives. The annual summer raids that defined 10th century Europe disappear. From 956 onward, no Hungarian army crosses the Bavarian border. That's Otto's achievement, not killing every Magyar, not conquering Hungary, just breaking their offensive power so completely that raiding becomes impossible. The survivors go home and never come back. That's strategic victory. That's why Otto becomes Otto the Great. Modern Hungary commemorates Lechfeld carefully. It's a national defeat, but also a turning point. The battle that ended nomadic warfare and started European integration. There's pride in the warriors who fought, shame in the leaders who blundered, respect for the German victory. The Hungarians rebuilt, adapted, survived. By the 16th century, they're the ones defending Europe from Ottoman invasion. The warriors of Lechfeld would recognize that, defending Christendom just from the other side now. Right injuries. The German Archaeological Service examines them. DNA analysis shows mixed ancestry, Central European and possible step markers. That's Magyars mixed with German soldiers. The grave is reburied without publicity. No museum display, no historical marker, just another construction site. The dead stay buried. The battle stays history. Medieval kings owned multiple swords, ceremonial blades, war blades, gift blades. The imperial regalia in Vienna includes a sword called the Sword of St. Maurice, 10th century, possibly Ottonian, maybe Otto's, maybe not. The provenance is unclear. The Lechfeld could have been fought with any generic longsword and it wouldn't change the outcome. Swords don't win battles, armies do. Leadership does, timing does. Otto had all three. The weather remains disputed. German sources mention heat. Hungarian sources mention rain, possibly both. Summer thunderstorms in Bavaria are common. Intense heat followed by sudden downpours. That would explain both accounts. The heat exhausts the Hungarians while they circle the German formation. The rain grounds their bows during Otto's charge. The weather becomes a weapon, not divine intervention. Just meteorology that favors the side with heavier equipment and tighter formations. The Magyars need clear skies and dry ground. They get mud and chaos. They lose. When he orders the charge, he leads his Saxon guard forward personally. Medieval kings fight. They have to. Soldiers follow leaders who share danger. If Otto stayed in the rear while his men charged, he'd lose their respect. He's on a warhorse in chainmail swinging a sword at some point during the battle. Whether he personally kills anyone is irrelevant. His presence on the battlefield matters. Duke Boleslav's legion spends the morning defending the rear guard against the initial Magyar attack. They take casualties, hold formation, prevent encirclement. Then they join the pursuit. Bohemian cavalry chases fleeing Magyars for 3 days, kills hundreds, captures more. Without Bohemian participation, the Lechfeld is a narrow victory instead of total annihilation. Boleslav gets his reward. Otto recognizes Bohemian independence. No more tribute, no more German overlordship. Bohemia becomes a kingdom in its own right. The Lechfeld buys Bohemian sovereignty. Boleslav knows it. That's why he marches 150 kilometers to join Otto's army. The Lechfeld is in their territory. They've been raided by Magyars for decades. Personal stakes. When Otto charges, Bavarian cavalry is in the front. Not because Otto orders it, because they won't let Saxons steal the glory. Bavarian pride runs deep. The Lechfeld is their victory as much as Otto's. The chroniclers give Otto credit because he's king. But Bavaria did the heavy lifting. Duke Berchard's 2 legions support the Bavarians and guard the southern flank. They don't face the initial rear attack. They don't lead the final charge. They hold the line. Unglamorous, essential. Medieval battles are won by the units that don't break. Swabia doesn't break. Berchard gets rich from loot. His troops survive largely intact. The Swabians go home with stories of the great victory. No heroic charges. No glorious last stands. Just solid professional soldiering. That's warfare. Grants his son inheritance without penalty. Erases the rebellion from official memory. Conrad becomes a martyr. Politically convenient, personally tragic. He's maybe 40 years old when he dies. Arrow through the throat. Bleeding out on gravel while his men flee. Medieval warfare is brutal. Conrad's death proves it. German troops find prisoners. Christian slaves taken during earlier raids. Livestock. Loot from a dozen churches. Gold, silver, reliquaries. The plunder of 50 years. Otto orders it returned to rightful owners where possible. The rest goes to the church. Bishop Ulrich gets a generous share for defending Augsburg. Otto keeps enough to fund his imperial ambitions. The rest is distributed to his dukes, buying loyalty, standard practice. The Magyar loot finances the next decade of German expansion. The only way to do that is kill enough warriors that Hungary can't field another raiding army for a generation. It works. The survivors who make it back to the Carpathian Basin are traumatized, broken. They tell stories of Germans who don't stop, who hunt you for days, who block every escape route. Fear becomes the weapon. After Lechfeld, Hungarians feared German cavalry the way Germans feared Magyar horse archers. Power shifts. The Saxon contribution is Otto's personal guard, maybe 1,000 men, veterans, professionals. They've fought in every campaign since 936. Saxony is Otto's power base. These men are loyal to him personally, not to ducal politics or regional interests. When Otto orders the final charge, the Saxons go without hesitation. They're the anvil that holds the center, while Bavarians and Franconians maneuver on the flanks. Medieval kingship depends on personal retinues. Otto's Saxon guard is why he's still alive after 19 years of rebellions and civil wars. They're why he wins at Lechfeld. Pay them to protect you from other raiders. It created a protection racket. Otto breaks the cycle. He doesn't pay. He fights. He wins. After Lechfeld, European kings stop paying tribute to nomadic invaders. They build armies instead. The shift from tribute to military defense starts here. Otto's legacy. Broken arrows, discarded weapons, no living Hungarians. The gravel plain is red, crows circle. The stench is overwhelming. Otto orders burial details. Germans get Christian burial in mass graves. Magyars get dumped in pits. No ceremony, no markers, just corpses in the ground. The floodplain absorbs them. By 956, the Lechfeld is farmland again. The battle is memory. August 10th, 955. One day, one battlefield, one charge. Europe's eastern border is secured for centuries. The Magyar terror ends. The Holy Roman Empire begins. Otto becomes Otto the Great. The Lechfeld isn't the largest medieval battle. It's not the bloodiest, but it's the hinge point. The day nomadic warfare meets disciplined heavy cavalry and loses. The day Europe stops paying tribute and starts expanding. The day the raids stop. For 50 years, Magyars had ridden west every summer. After Lechfeld, they stay home. That's victory. That's why this battle matters. Not because of numbers killed or glory won, because of what stops happening. The absence of terror, the presence of peace. That's Otto's gift to Europe, and it starts here on this gravel plain in Bavaria where 8,000 men refuse to run.